In the early hours of the morning in Green Bay, Wisconsin, Tara Pakanich was awakened by a bang at her front door. After getting out of bed to investigate, she peered out into the dark street only to realize no one was there. On her way back to bed, she noticed a light in the basement of her home had been carelessly left on. She assumed her 24-year-old son, Shad, had fallen asleep and forgotten to turn it off. As she descended the stairs into her dimly lit basement, a sense of unease began to creep over her. There was an eerie stillness in the air, and Shad's absence was more worrying than she had initially thought. Before Tara began the ascent back up the stairs, something in the basement caught the corner of her eye. A black 5-gallon bucket, partially obscured by a shower towel hastily thrown over it, stood ominously at the bottom of the stairs. Summoning all the courage she could muster, Tara cautiously approached the bucket. Her heart pounded in her chest, and a sense of dread hung heavy in the air. As she pulled back the towel to reveal its contents, her blood ran cold. Nestled inside the bucket was a grotesque and horrifying discovery: a severed human head. Shad Thyrion was born on September 7, 1997, to mother Tara Pakanich and father Michael Thyrion. He grew up in the Green Bay area in Wisconsin with 2 brothers and 1 sister. He was a very kind and compassionate person who often thought of others before himself, and he enjoyed camping, wood carving, and spending time with his family. During Shad's time at Bayport High School, he would befriend an attractive girl with dark hair and fair skin called Taylor, and the two would eventually start dating before breaking up a few months later. After leaving high school, he began working with his father and grandfather at their family business while continuing his friendship with Taylor. Little did Shad know this friendship would come to an abrupt and tragic end a few years later. Taylor Coronado was born on November 23, 1997, in Chicago, Illinois. While she was in the 4th grade, her parents would move her and her younger brother to Green Bay, Wisconsin, to start a new life. Things were going well for the family until her mother, Marla, passed away unexpectedly in 2009 due to cirrhosis and alcoholism when Taylor was around 12 years old. Sometime after meeting Shad at Bayport High School, Taylor's mental health would start to decline, and she would eventually be expelled after getting into a fight with other students at the school. At this point, she moved to Cotulla, Texas to live with her paternal grandparents, and would then finish her schooling at Cotulla High School before graduating and returning to Wisconsin to live with her dad. In 2019, she would study electronics at university and would later land a job as a machine operator. According to her father, Taylor had always been a normal kid who had many friends but ended up traveling down a dark path. On Valentine's Day 2020, Taylor would marry her boyfriend Warren Shabo, who had a lengthy criminal record including burglary, selling drugs, and domestic violence. Presumably to match her husband's last name, Taylor would then change her name to Taylor Schabusiness. It was well known the two would frequently smoke meth and experiment with other drugs together. After Warren was arrested on drug charges, he would end up in prison, resulting in the deterioration of their relationship. In his absence, Taylor would turn to her loyal friend, Shad Thyrion, for physical and emotional support. On the 21st of February 2022, Schabusiness picked up Thyrion from his mother's home around 9:30 p.m. A friend of the couple joined them before they headed to an apartment where the three smoked marijuana and methamphetamine. They would also inject trazodone, a prescription medicine used to treat depression and anxiety disorders. Schabusiness and Thyrion eventually returned to his mother's home and spent the day there while Ms. Pakanich was away. In the basement of the Wisconsin home, Taylor and Thyrion engaged in sexual intercourse and used chains to choke one another. Shad laid face down on a mattress, still wearing his shorts, before Taylor tightened the chains around his neck until he was coughing blood and turning purple. Despite this, she continued choking him for a few minutes before she felt his heart beat for the last time. Without getting into the shocking details of what Taylor did next, she continued assaulting Shad for a period of time and proceeded to use a bucket and a tote bag to collect Thyrion's blood, which she then used to shower with, before finally decapitating and dismembering the body with knives taken from the kitchen. She then left the scene, waking up Ms. Pakanich in the process as she slammed the front door on the way out. After the gruesome scene was discovered, Ms. Pakanich rushed up the stairs to tell her boyfriend Steve Hendricks, who then called 911. In the early hours of that morning, body cam video of the officers responding to the scene shows them searching the basement of the home and securing the crime scene after confirming that a human head was inside the bucket downstairs. Dried blood was also found on a nearby mattress, and body parts were found placed inside plastic bags in the basement. At about 5 a.m., officers would arrive at Taylor's apartment and inspect her minivan found at the scene. While doing this, they saw Taylor emerge from the nearby apartment building. Caught off guard, she was surprised to see the officers. As the investigators approached Taylor, they could see what appeared to be dried blood on her black hooded sweatshirt, sweatpants, and also on her hands. She was quickly handcuffed, and after searching her apartment, she was taken to the Green Bay police station for questioning. During her interrogation, Schabusiness stated that she believed it took 3 to 5 minutes for the victim to die. When Shad began coughing up blood, she continued choking him out of curiosity to see what would happen. The coroner would later confirm this with visible signs of strangulation present. She further expressed her enjoyment of choking him and made disturbing comments to detectives, asking if they knew what it was like to love something so much that you kill it. She then provided information about the crime scene to officers, challenging them to find all of the organs. Taylor would go on to plead not guilty by reason of insanity, as entered by her attorney, but a court-appointed physician would determine that she was fit to stand trial. On February 14, 2023, she assaulted her lawyer when he requested to postpone the trial for a competency assessment. A sheriff's officer intervened and restrained her without significant injuries. Shortly after the incident, the attorney expressed his intention to withdraw from the case, but the request was denied. Following the trial, the jury took just over half an hour to reach a guilty verdict on all charges. Taylor Schabusiness was convicted of first-degree intentional homicide, third-degree sexual assault, and mutilating a corpse for killing her boyfriend, Shad Thyrion, in February 2022. The court determined that she did not have a mental disease or defect at the time of the murder. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole and will be incarcerated at the Taycheedah Correctional Institution, a female-only facility in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Although the exact reason behind Taylor's disturbing actions remains somewhat elusive, it's crucial to understand that her motivations were likely shaped by a combination of factors. These factors include her personal history, upbringing, mental health, and maybe most notably, her extensive drug use. During the trial, Taylor was generally described as a reserved individual who kept to herself, and her father revealed the significant impact her mother's sudden passing had on the family, shedding light on the emotional distress Taylor experienced early on in her life.
It was a traumatic event for her, is that fair?
Of course, sure.
And then at some point, the family moved from Evanston, Illinois to Green Bay in 2008.
The judge ruled that Taylor's internet searches relating to Jeffrey Dahmer could be used as evidence, but no mention should be made of her searches for Satanism. An independent psychologist also provided additional insight into Taylor's mental health. The psychologist explained that Taylor was prescribed a range of medications for her mental health conditions, which sometimes made it challenging for her to concentrate. Moreover, she indicated that Taylor experienced episodes of psychosis, which involved visual and auditory hallucinations. While these aspects offer some perspective on Taylor's state of mind, they also raise questions about how childhood trauma, prescription medications, and drug abuse can compel a relatively normal person to commit such a shocking crime.
Me, based on my experience and training, that's a psychotic person right there.